Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing Dune 2020, the good, the bad, and the ugly. In case you're just catching up, Denis Villeneuve's Dune is an adaptation of the 1965 novel of the same name. It's scheduled for release in December of this year, and I've already done a video on the cast and updates to date. You can check those out here. But now, as the title indicates, we're going to take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly from what we've learned recently. Let's begin with the good. In recent back-to-back articles, Vanity Fair published several stills from the upcoming film, and they are visually striking. The first features Chalamet as Paul on his native planet of Caladan, and in the next, he's seen alongside his mother on Arrakis, also known as Dune. The casting choice here could not have been better. Even more so than the original, he looks like Paul, an exceptionally well-trained and gifted young man with the weight of hope and the responsibility of generations on his shoulders. I also do like Zendaya as Chani, the Furman love interest. I like the deep blue of her eyes, a much better representation than the glowing, almost cartoonish style we've seen before. The costume design has a familiar look as well from past iterations, but a far more authentic, distinctly organic feel. The layered textures and natural colors are absolutely beautiful. And Jordan was probably the perfect location on Earth to film this. The lighting across a rugged, dry, arid, otherworldly landscape is exactly what I was hoping for. It really adds to that surreal feel. Next, we get a shot of House Atreides, which does not disappoint. You get a commanding sense of strength and loyalty, and again, I'm loving the costumes. The set design and the banner behind them is amazing. We also learn that this will not be a single movie, but two parts, which is something I think most fans were hoping for. There's just far too much story, too much character development and history, and complex world building to pack into one film. It's virtually impossible to do this story justice as it is, let alone in one part. So this is really a relief for most of us, I'm sure. But of course, we could not expect the studios to leave well enough alone, and thus we get the bad. More specifically, the crafting or remaking of a timeless work not based on the story, not driven by expounding upon the existing narrative, but solely to suit a particular predetermined agenda. As Villeneuve admits to Vanity Fair, this adaptation was created from the perspective of it being an anti-capitalist think piece. He sees it as a call for action for the youth and clearly intends to present it for that purpose, not simply to present the story for being the wonderful work that it is. And no, I'm not in denial about the underlying lessons conveyed in Dune. I don't deny its commentary on society, religion, governance, and ecological disaster. But subtlety is key, and agenda-driven media today tends to lack that attribute entirely, making a mockery of the very lessons they purport to convey. Next, there's the portrayal of women in the film, and particularly their story arcs, which are described in the article as having been brought up to a new level. Lady Jessica, Paul's mother, is described as a mother, a concubine, a soldier. The reason this will be a bit disconcerting to many fans is that the women of Dune are already incredibly well written. Their roles, large and small, are powerfully impactful to the overall story. But it goes back to what I was saying before. Subtlety is so lost that whatever feminist agenda is underlying this decision will likely be so on the nose as to be offensive, not only to the characters, but to women generally. Everyone doesn't have to be a warrior princess. Most of us aren't, and that's okay. There's strength in femininity too, as well as subtlety. And last but not least, Dr. Liet Kynes. Kynes is a white male in the novels and has been race and gender swapped for the film. Now, to many, this isn't a significant change because the character isn't particularly important, but therein lies the ugly. Hollywood has a very long and ugly tradition of intentionally portraying Black characters poorly, including casting Black actors in throwaway roles, noticeably diminished roles compared to any other source material or any other characters. A recent example of this was Finn in the Disney Star Wars trilogy. You can check out my video on that here. Doing this allows studios to check off their diversity box and pat themselves on the back without ever actually investing the time, energy, and money into developing rich new characters and stories. This surface level, superficial, cheap breadcrumb approach allows Hollywood to pretend to be woke and yet profit from what is little more than a degrading display of Black bodies on the screen. And if that's not enough, if they aren't throwaway roles, they're stereotypical ones. Fringilla in The Witcher is a perfect example. Now, to be honest, I love The Witcher. I love the books, the games, and the show. But this character was not only race swapped, she was made more jealous, angry, bitter, ruthless. She was darker in skin tone, but also darker in personality compared to the actual character. Noticeably, as in the case with this new Kynes, she was also made far more masculine, which is a common trope these days, where Hollywood takes dark-skinned Black women and portray them with more negative or masculine characteristics. Bounding into Comics dropped an article on the agenda-driven casting as well. There, they quote the actress portraying Kynes as saying, "What Villeneuve has stated to me was there was a lack of female characters in his cast, and he'd always been very feminist, pro-women, and wanted to write the role for a woman." But here's the thing. There isn't anything feminist or pro-women about gender swapping. A character isn't anti-racist because you've race swapped her. If you're truly pro-women, if you're truly pro this character, you would respect the female characters as written or create new ones, individuals who are great in their own right. This decision serves only to dilute the prominence of the women featured in the original story. And again, it's lazy and weak in the tool to promote the very agenda they claim to support. That said, am I going to go see this film? Absolutely. You can bet on it because I've been waiting for it for far too long. I'm genuinely excited about pretty much every other aspect of it. But I'm hoping that the good will outweigh the bad. And as for the ugly, well, I believe fans can and should demand better. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.